Here I sit again, pen in hand, wondering which tale to write down next. The last left me broken-hearted, so something that ends with a happy ending. There are so many that I have. Some that I was physically involved with, and others that were told to me by various people. And as I sit here watching my little wife float around the bar, a story she once told me comes to mind. One that was told to her by her first love. This tale is one of friendship, camaraderie, and a little humor. So as I begin all my stories, I shall begin this one. Once.
So, what you be thinking he wants?
Oric asked as they walked toward the commander's tent. He scratched his well-trimmed red beard and looked to the other two with a questioning look in his green eyes. The taller of the two looked over, his brown eyes finding Oric's. Most likely, what he always wants. For us to head into the tunnels and clear out another pack, he said, fussing with the black and silver tunic over his armor. The dark-haired knight walking beside him chuckled. Eldon, it's not going to get any straighter. He looked over to the large man who had asked the original question. Well, whatever it is, I hope it gets us closer to the end of this little war. I can't wait to get back to the city. Eldon looked over to the dark-haired knight. Agreed. Stone walls and a proper bed sound delightful. But as to sitting soon, I don't know, Derric. The way they keep pulling knights from here and sending them elsewhere gives me concern. Oric stopped.
Right. You be noticing how many times Dogram has come here and taken our brothers? Something's going on,
he said, crossing his muscular arms across his broad chest. Derric stepped beside him and looked up, his steel-gray eyes narrowing. I noticed. But did you notice? It's only those knights that are close to Sir Karis, like Dogram and his cronies. Eldon nodded. Something's going on. What exactly? I don't know. But whatever it is, it has to do with young Ian. I overheard a couple of those knights talking the other day.
King Ian,
Oric corrected. Right, he is king. But his terrible attitude has not changed, even after the whooping you gave him, he said, giving Derric a wide smile. Derric shook his head and started walking. You think it's funny? You didn't spend 3 months in a cell.
Well, could have been worse. Could have lost your head like little Ian wanted,
Oric said, falling and stepped beside him.
Lucky for ye, old King Billith agreed with how you handled it.
Eldon caught up to the two. I don't think it was funny. Risky, but not funny. But as Oric said, he looked over to the large man. It could have been worse. What's going on does concern me, though perhaps we should bring it to Sir Michael. Or should we keep it to ourselves? He looked from one to the other. Derric stopped again and looked at him. And tell him what? All we have are bad feelings, nothing solid. Besides, he has other problems to worry about. They reached the tent and stood at the entrance. Eldon adjusted his tunic one last time. Oric held the flap open.
Shall we?
He said with a wave of his hand. Derric gave him a nod. Thanks. He stopped before entering. If the topic comes up, we should say something. At least let him know our observations, he said, then stepped inside.
Let you two do the talking,
Oric said, his white teeth shining in a wide smile. Eldon stepped past him. We always do, he said with a slight chuckle. We always do. The three stepped inside and walked over to a large table covered with papers, maps, and war-related items. It stood in the middle of the tent, and behind it stood two men, one older, the other about their age. Sir Michael, Sir Christopher, all three said in unison with a slight bow. The older of the two looked up from the papers he was reading. Knights, he said, returning the bow. The other men smiled. Lads, he said, bowing as well. Eldon stepped forward. You called for us, War Chancellor. The man set the papers down and looked at them. I did. You three have proven yourselves quite capable, and I have a task for you, one I think your particular talents are best suited for. He turned to the knight beside him. Christopher? Sir Christopher stepped around the table and leaned against it. Here's the gist. The dwarven sappers were almost done setting the tunnels to collapse, but their digging opened up another passage, and when goblins attacked them, they had to pull back before they get finished, he said, crossing his arms across his chest. And you want us to provide a guarded escort for them, Derric said from behind Eldon. Christopher looked around the brown-haired, dapper knight. No. We want you to go in and see where the tunnel leads. Make sure that the goblins won't have another way into the Elise Valley. And kill any of the buggers you find along the way. Oric gave the man a wide smile. Oi, we can kill some goblins. Eldon gave them a slight bow. Sirs, he said, turning and heading toward the access with the other two. Oh, one more thing, Sir Michael called from behind them. Take Helmet with you. All three men stopped and stood still for a moment. Problem? The older knight asked. All three looked over their shoulders. Have you met the dwarf, sir? He's... Oric began. Crazy, Derric finished. The two knight leaders chuckled. I have heard he is quite bold, Sir Michael said with a smile. The three walked out and headed for the dwarven compound. Great. Just what we need. Someone crazier than Oric, Derric said as they walked. Without missing a step, Oric said, May not be crazy like that, dwarf. The other two stopped and gave him a look that said, Are you mad? Oric walked a few more paces before he noticed and turned back. What? Me not like him, he said, the puzzled look in his green eyes making clear he believed every word of it. The other two shook their heads. Was it not you who charged into a half a dozen goblins with only your fist? Derric said, looking to Eldon for support. Oric smiled his wide smile. Yeah, but they're only little guys. Me wouldn't charge into a situation where me couldn't get out. Come on, Eldon said with a slight snicker as they continued toward the dwarven area. The others followed. Oric quickened his pace to catch up. Well, at least me be wearing me helmet. Not like that crazy tunnel runner who goes running off with nothing but his bare head. Derric chuckled from behind him. I know. Getting a nickname because you always forgot to put on your helmet, that is as crazy as he is. You know that's how he got his name, right? They reached the compound, entered, and stopped the first dwarf they saw. Helmet? Eldon asked. The short dwarf pointed north. Mess tent. Last time I saw him. Eldon bowed. Thank you, he said, and headed for the large tent. They entered to find a few occupants and easily spotted the person they were looking for. All three moved towards the short dwarf who was tilting back a mug. Helmet? Eldon called. The dwarf looked over. Lads! He called back. They walked over to him. Drinking this early? Oric asked with a disapproving tone. It only be dwarven water, lad, he replied with a devious grin. Dwarven water? The other three asked. Ale, lads. Ale. We have a mission, Eldon said as he approached. The dwarf set down his mug and gave him a wide grin. What be the mission? He asked. Oric moved over and looked down at him. His eyes narrowed. From this angle he finally saw it. The two eyes tattooed on the shaved sides of the dwarf's head made it look like some kind of wild beast's thought. Well, Oric said, we're gonna kill some goblins. A short dwarf jumped up from the bench.
Oi, that be me favourite kind of mission,
he said, grabbing his bladed gauntlets from the table and heading to the exit.
The others followed. You going to grab your helmet?
Oric called from behind him. Helmet stopped and looked back at him.
How many times do me got to tell ya? You don't like wearing the damn thing,
he said with a broad grin.